Really happy to be here today to share with you all some of the great career resources that we have at the center. And before we get started, I'm just going to do like a quick introduction and talk a little bit about me because I always think it's kind of fun to know who your presenter is, especially through Zoom. So, just a little bit about me. I started my career journey years ago at a community college. I'm a first generation college student. So, I started at CRC where I switched my major a couple times before I found out that I really loved helping others through psychology. And then I transferred over to Sac State where I got my bachelor's. And then I also got my master's in career counseling here. I love this quote just because I feel like it has kind of inspired me to keep going. So it's be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. So that's something that always stuck with me, that if you have a passion to do something, you put all of your energy and effort into it, and you're fearless about what happens, you end up becoming where you want to go, right? So that's the quote that I had on my grad cap. This is my husky in the middle. She is 4 years old. Her name is Noor. And she reminds me to just, relax and take things easy in life. And her big smile inspires me every day. And something that's important to me is inclusion, which is part of the reason why I went into higher education counseling. I think that everybody, deserves to have their voice and their vision heard, and that's important. And then just random, I love breakfast foods at all times of the day. So it's a picture of pancakes. Now that I've introduced myself, we're just gonna do popcorn. So just introduce yourself. You can let me know. So introduce yourself with your name, pronouns, what you're looking forward to this semester. I know some of you are graduating, and a fun fact about yourself. Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing just so everybody can see each other. Okay. Um, so who wants to start?
I can start. So I'm Fernanda. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And then was it a fun fact about myself?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess a fun fact is that I have 4 dogs, 3 Shih Tzus, and then one Chihuahua and Wiener dog mix.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you want to choose somebody else?
I'll start with Kelsey.
And you can also use the chat feature if you're not able to turn your camera on, completely understandable. You can put it in the chat.
Hi, so my name is Kelsey. It was an interesting fact about us, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's always my fact. I have 2 pugs. Here's one of them. Her name's Mochi, and then the other one is just sleeping behind me.
Awesome. Seems like we're all a lot of dog lovers in here. Kelsey, do you want to pick somebody else?
Um, would Simon like to go?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Simeon. Pronouns are he, him. Um, a fun fact about myself. I've lived in I think 6 different places across the U.S. I've lived in upstate New York, New Jersey, the Bay Area, and then Sacramento twice. Yeah, that's a bit about me. Should I choose the next person?
Yes.
Okay, I guess I'll choose Ariana.
Hi, my name is Ariana. My pronouns are she, hers. Um, I guess a fun fact about me, I have an 8-year-old Shih Tzu, and she's a big part of my life as well.
Awesome. Do you want to choose somebody else?
Yeah, I'll pick Alexia.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexia. Something I think was one of the questions, something I'm looking forward to in this semester is just opening myself up to new opportunities and trying new things. A fun fact about me is I would say I like to snowboard, and I am actually from the Bay Area where there's no snow, so I like to travel all the time to Tahoe and just we I can pass it to, sorry if I pronounce this wrong, but Matthias.
Yeah, hi, my name is Matthias. I also work in the Career Center. It's actually my second week on the job, so I'm just here shadowing Ariya just to get a sense of how things work. So thanks for having me along for the ride today. Fun fact about myself is I don't like warm drinks. I know that's counterintuitive to what many people think. And I will popcorn over to, I believe it's Tori.
Hi, I'm Tori. I actually have a cold drink on me right now, so I can agree I don't really like hot drinks. But my name is Tori. I'm a psych major. I guess an interesting fact about myself is that I have two dogs, a Great Pyrenees named Ginger and a Belgian Malinois named Slim Shady. That was my mom's choosing. I guess I'll popcorn to Soraya, I think.
Maybe she's not able to unmute right now. Do you want to pick somebody else? And then Soraya, if you want to just put it in the chat, I can also introduce at the end.
Okay, let me see. I guess the one that keeps popping up is Brian.
Sorry, Tori, you want to choose somebody else?
I don't know who else. Let me see. There's, I think, Karina.
Hello. Can't be on camera right now, but I can talk. My name is Karina. My pronouns are she, her. I'm 25 years old. I'm almost done with my bachelor's degree in psychology. I find it really fascinating, and I know you guys do too. And just a fun fact about me, I like doing yoga, so I try to do it a few times a week.
Okay, is there anybody that hasn't gone yet? You can just unmute.
I didn't go, but I don't really have a fun fact about myself. But my name is Paige, and I am a junior.
Awesome, thanks, Paige. Anybody else that hasn't gone? And I do see two people in the chat, so I hope I don't mispronounce your name. Azalea, fun fact, you have a Yorkie and a Husky. Awesome, I have a Husky too. They are very energetic. And then Soraya said, I don't like cake. Okay, awesome. So thank you everybody for introducing yourselves. Hopefully this allows us to just get to know each other a little bit better. So I'll go ahead and screen share again. Okay. And as we go through like this presentation, feel free to unmute and talk and volunteer. I think it makes it a lot more fun when it's interactive, okay? So what is the Career Center? A Career Center is a place where you're able to explore your interests as well as your values. Some of us know right from the beginning what we want to do, and others, like me, I kind of moved around a little bit before I found out what I was really good at, right? And what I wanted to do. So we can definitely help with the exploration phase too. We can also do major and career exploration. So, a lot of you are psychology majors, and maybe you are like, what can I do within psychology once I graduate, right? What are my options? Do I have to get my graduate degree, or are there opportunities after graduation without one? Well, I'm here to tell you that there are plenty, and I will be sharing those with you as well. And then there's also job search tools that we help with, such as Handshake. We also have our All Majors Career Fair coming up. And so I will forward that information to your club president, and then she can forward it to the rest of you. But there's also graduate school. So if you're not sure, how to go about the graduate school application process, or what kind of things you would need for graduate school, we also help with that. Our advisors do meet with students one-on-one to kind of help you figure out a plan that works for you. We definitely have events and workshops. Our All Majors Career Fair, for example, is coming up on April 4th and 5th. So that's available to you. There's also counseling and guidance. And sometimes it's like, how do I connect with an employer, right? So we can help with that too, whether that be creating your LinkedIn, helping you practice your pitch statement, as well as interview practice. And all of our tools are going to be on the Career Center website. So if you just type in Sac State Career Center, you can access all of these tools. Matthias, if you don't mind, could you put our main career link in the chat for everybody?
Will do.
Thank you. Okay. So I want to talk about next is the career development process. So, a lot of us think that we're going to choose our major, we're going to do some research, decide and act on a career path, and then we're going to go for it, right? Oftentimes that isn't the case though, right? I always say life has a way of like working itself out. So, I know, for example, when I started at community college, I was a pre-med major, and I thought, you know what? I love helping people. I'm going to go be a nurse. Shortly realized I hate needles. I hate blood. This is probably not the right path, even though I like learning about it, right? And the human body and all of that. The application of it wasn't something for me, right? So I went back, did some more research, took a couple internships, and then decided on psychology. But as you can see, it's almost like a circle. And I like to say, like, this process is lifelong. A lot of times, the average person does change their career path more than once, 4 or 5 times, realistically speaking. So no matter where you are at, we're here to help you. So when you come into the Career Center, you don't have to feel like you have to have it all figured out, right? That's what we're here for. And just know, that you have to be patient with yourself. So yeah, career development is definitely a lifelong process, and it's not, linear like we think. It's almost like a circle. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about one of the tools that is one of my favorites. It's called Focus to Career. How many of you have utilized this tool already? You can raise your hand, react. Okay. So yeah, this is a really cool tool if you want to start, exploring some of your interests. It has different assessments that you can complete, such as like the work interest, personality, maybe values. So something that could be a value to you might be like work-life balance, or making sure that, once you're out the door from your job, you close that door at 5 o'clock, you're done, right? And you don't look back. So it's really important to make sure that your career path is aligning with some of these things, such as, your personality, your interests. Some of us really like having a job that's, you're able to move and do lots of different things. Others like a desk job. So these assessments just kind of help you figure out what some of the occupations and majors could be that match your personal attributes. I know since you're all in the psych major, You probably won't need the major part, but the occupation part, it will show you different job titles that you could potentially go into based off of your interests. Okay, so now for the fun part. So what can you do with your psychology degree, right? This is like the question that everybody has. Well, I'm here to tell you that your options are totally unlimited. You know, when I was in the psychology major too, a lot of us would just think about like therapy or mental health fields, right? Because you feel like that's how you would apply the knowledge that you've learned into some of these positions. But there's also a lot of like transferable skill sets that you've learned that can also apply to the industry. Some of the ones that you're all really, really strong in are like those interpersonal skills, right? You're constantly being told how to interact with other people and like the best methods for doing that, right? So that's something that's really strong. Also, problem solving ability. I think there's a lot of critical thinking that's involved with majoring in psychology that you can also apply. So I think using your skill sets and being able to recognize them in these different roles and positions is what's really going to be helpful when you're looking for positions. These are just some of the various industries that you could go into with your psychology major. So some of the students that I've seen go into the business sector, they'll go into like human resources, business administration, or project management. So human resources is where, you know, each department for each company, as well as the colleges, have a department. These are the people that are in charge when you get hired, right? So they're the ones that do all of the paperwork, the interviewing, all of that good stuff. And then, you know, you could also go into like business administration. If you're really into like organization, there's always a great deal involved with both business and project management. And then government jobs, there's also a bunch of state and federal jobs that you could apply for, offer pretty great benefits as well. So that could be something that you could also potentially look into. Healthcare, some of the titles with that could be like recreation leader, child life specialist, healthcare and patient coordinator. Oftentimes when we think about health, we just think about like, you know, nurses and doctors and that sort of a thing, but there's a whole system that runs in order to make, you know, the day-to-day life happen. And there's a lot of different roles that you could go into that involve helping other people and using creativity and your interpersonal skills. So healthcare is a big one as well. Teaching is also something that you could potentially go into. So like, you know, getting your foot in the door, maybe you start with substituting or working at a charter school, doing some tutoring positions or teaching assistant positions. And that could be one way to kind of explore that sector. Another really big one is higher education. So like any of the coordinator positions at a college campus you can apply for, you all qualify for that. And so, you know, whether that be, you know, the Pride Center or the Multicultural Center, all of those positions could be great as well as the administrative support layer for each of these centers too. There's also student services support. So that would be like more working with students to some capacity, and then also doing some of the clerical roles that come with it. And lastly, mental health. So if you are thinking mental health, you could go into, you know, becoming maybe a case manager, a behavior technician, or a mental health coordinator. So I hope this kind of helps. If you start doing like your job search, you can search for these titles as well as others. Any questions so far on anything that I've covered? You can put it in the chat.
For some of these, would you recommend like a minor degree? Like if my major is psychology, should I minor in like business if I'm looking for a business sector job, or would you say like without a minor, it's still fine with just the psychology degree?
Yeah, so minor, that will just help kind of like broaden your knowledge, right? But I always say there's always more than one option to do that. You could get like an internship, right, while you're in school that allows you to get some exposure to the business sector as well. So I think it really depends on what you want to do. I think there's more than one way to do it. Usually they will require like, you know, like Do you have, 6 months of experience working to some capacity? And a lot of us have like student jobs, so those also count, right? So the minor could help too, but I think if I were to like say like what's the one piece of advice I do have, it's like get involved, take those internships, start getting that real life experience, because that's what's really gonna help you get like that full-time job after you graduate.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. Other questions? Okay, and then we'll have time at the end too for questions as well. So, okay, so one of the tools that I recommend is what can I do with this major? Once you go on here, just like I was telling you, like the various options, it actually breaks it down into different areas, and then it gives you different titles that you can search for, right? So like case management is in here, for example, or like art therapy. Some of the things we may think of, right? But others we may not, like grant writing is really big, right? Or management, which is something that we don't think about often. So this is a really great tool to just kind of explore the various sectors that you could work for, as well as the different employers. So it'll tell you like, you could work for the local government or outpatient clinics. Also gives you ideas for like where to look for employment as well. And it has breakout links at the bottom that you can access, which will show you like a summary of the job, a day in the life of video. So this is a really great tool. Okay, so the next tool is California Career Zone. And I love this tool just because it not only shows you the various occupations that are available to you, but it also shows you like what's the fastest growing industry, where are there opportunities, and as well as budgeting. Now, if you're anything like me and you're not good at budgeting, this actually helps you because it'll like allow you to basically look at, okay, like what kind of a lifestyle you want to live, and then it'll show you occupations and how much you should be earning in order to maintain that lifestyle. So really cool tool, and it also helps you figure out like, maybe like the occupations that are the fastest growing and the higher paying ones according to your interests. So definitely check out California Career Zone. And it also allows you to see like how many annual openings and the like recent statistics on there as well. Okay. So how to get employed? I think that's like the one thing that we're all wondering, right? We all want jobs after we graduate. So how do you get employed? You want to leverage on those transferable skill sets that I talked about, right? These are the top 21st century skill sets by the New World of Work. Adaptability, solution mindset, collaboration, communication, digital fluency, which means that you're good with technology, and then empathy. Some other ones are entrepreneurial. Oh my gosh, I can never say this word. Entrepreneurial mindset, resilience, self-awareness, and then social diversity and awareness. So now that you've looked at these, I want you to think of a job that you might be interested in after graduation, right? And this doesn't have to be exact, but maybe it's something that's like, okay, I know that I want to go into mental health, or I know that I want to get a job to some capacity in human resources, right? So think of a job that you're interested in. And then I want you to list out a few skill sets that you might be required to succeed in that position, right? Might be communication, might be, using technology. So just kind of write down some of the skill sets that would be required to succeed in that position. And then I want you to think back, what's a current experience that you have that relates to that position? And it doesn't have to be like a job if you don't have one, that's okay. It could be a volunteer experience. It could be, maybe a micro internship that you took. Anything that you can think of that relates to that position. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll give you a few minutes and then we'll do a discussion. So you can either write it down or note it on your laptop. But we'll take a few minutes to do that and then we'll reconnect. Okay. And then when you're finished, just give me a thumbs up just so I can see how much more time we need. Thank you. Okay, I think I'll give you all like another 30 seconds. Okay, perfect. So I see some people putting it in the chat. So I'm just going to read some responses out. Thank you all for participating. So somebody said counseling, active listening, patience, being respectful, observant, and non-judgmental. Yes, those are all great skills, and I totally agree. I think there's so many that I utilize every single day. And those are very important. And then future goal is crisis counselor for CYCL and PCL, and for the Student Success Center, and you want to use your current experience and positions. Yes, perfect. So definitely utilizing these skill sets and making sure that you're putting these onto your resume is going to be super beneficial. Thank you for sharing. And then we have another one that said currently interested in a state job. Skill sets that might be required are good communication, digital fluency, and experience that relates to this position would be club involvement and past job as a receptionist. Yes, absolutely, right? So I think those are definitely skills that would be required. You're going to be, using the computer a lot, so digital fluency, probably interacting with your coworkers on a daily, and then yes, the club involvement and receptionist position definitely relates. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And then we see another one. Okay, somebody said mental health counseling. Skills needed would be communicating, listening, being objective. Yes, that's a good one. And obtaining experience if possible. Absolutely. So those internships would be definitely helpful as well if you want to participate, or even volunteering, right? For like the crisis line or something like that. Perfect. Does anybody else want to like unmute and share maybe?
Um, Ultimately, I want to become an LMFT, so licensed marriage family therapist. So that requires I go to grad school. Um, so some skill sets that might be required for that job would be excellent communication with clients, making sure I can be adaptable, meet them where they are, digital fluency with the pandemic, and also empathy. And then I think some maybe current experience I have that might be helpful would be I was a teacher's assistant for a few years. I have a lot of experience working with kids as nannies and in other various roles. I've also taught kids about different types of relationships as like a presenter for a program called Love Shouldn't Hurt. So those are a few of the experiences I have. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I love how you really thought about the skill sets that would be required and how your current position and roles kind of allow you to build on that experience. So that's great. Thank you. Okay. Awesome. So I think hopefully this activity kind of allows you to see how valuable your skill sets are and how they can relate to these positions that you are wanting to pursue, right? We definitely help with resume development too. So if you're ever like, how do I add this experience onto my resume, or what kinds of experiences should I be adding, you can definitely visit us. But thank you all for participating. Okay, so now we're gonna switch gears and start talking about graduate school. So when it comes to graduate school, there's a lot of different factors that you want to consider. The first one would be determining if you actually need a graduate degree, right? So I know some of you described some of the positions that you're looking into, right? Whether that be a licensed marriage and family therapist, or going into social work, or education. So each of these would have different requirements, right? So you want to kind of look into the program and see whether you need a master's degree in social work, or a master's in marriage and family therapist, or if you want to be like a professor later, you're looking more at a doctorate, right? So you just want to make sure that you're actually looking at what kind of degree would be required to get to your goal. So definitely looking at what would be needed, and then also considering too that sometimes some of the jobs that you're considering may not require a graduate degree, right? This is not to say like don't go to graduate school. I think it's always great to pursue education and it always benefits you, but sometimes it's like, do I need this, or are there other alternatives to help me get there, depending on your circumstances, right? So definitely looking and seeing what would be required. A good way to do this is maybe putting in a future job that you have in mind onto the Google search, and then seeing what the requirements would be if you were to get hired for that job, just to make sure it aligns. The next one would be figuring out, like, are you prepared? And that means, a lot of time graduate school programs require, a bunch of materials, including a resume, a personal statement, letters of recommendation, a whole application. And it does take quite a bit of time, right? So making sure that you're prepared and giving yourself enough time, looking at the admission requirements and the timeline that is required. I usually say at least give yourself like a couple months, right? If not more, to get everything together so you're not overwhelmed, because you're probably going to be applying to more than one school, right? So definitely take some time. I know for me, I took a gap year for that reason, just because after getting done with school, I was really burnt out. I had been doing school for years and working 2 jobs. So I was like, I need a year before I jump into graduate school, which is completely fine too. Some people jump into it right away. Others take a gap year. You can definitely come visit us and we can help you figure out, a plan for yourself and help you create a timeline, just so you could kind of see whether graduate school is possible right now or later. So definitely considering that and giving yourself plenty of time, as well as the people who are going to do your letters of rec plenty of time too, okay? The next thing you want to consider is actually researching the program. Graduate school is a little bit different in the way that the classes aren't so big, right? In psychology, I know some of our classes used to be like 100, 200 students sometimes. With graduate school, it's a lot smaller classes. I think my biggest graduate school class, we only had like 20 people in it. So, definitely smaller. You want to make sure that the program is in line with your interests. I know when I was searching for graduate school, one of the things, and I kind of applied to a bunch of different schools, and the reason I chose Sac State was the diversity component, right? We have a lot of diversity on campus, I think, and a lot of first generation students, which I was really passionate about. So definitely research the program to see what your priorities are and what your goals are and whether it aligns. Cost and resources is another big one. So definitely visit the financial aid center just to see what your options are. There's still money for graduate school out there, so you can definitely do that, as well as consider applying to different scholarships, and take into consideration too whether it's a out of state school, right? Because then you're going to end up paying more, or if it's in state. So those are some of the factors that you want to consider thinking about before you make decisions. So this just goes further into it. So again, making sure that you figure out whether you need the degree or you're doing it for educational purposes, making sure it aligns. Usually, graduate school varies between, there's 2-year programs, 3-year programs. There's also 4-year programs. So making sure that you have the money and resources that you need in order to pursue it. And you can definitely also, tell your family and friends and your network of support that you're thinking about graduate school. I think that also helps just create some sort of safety net, or just letting them know hey, I'm thinking about graduate school. I think we all need some sort of support to some capacity. So making sure you have that support. Also looking at admission requirements and timeline. Some of the basic things that graduate school usually requires is a minimum GPA that's, usually above a 3.0. Private schools are a little bit different. They usually are okay with the GPA being a little bit lower, but you definitely want to check with the program. Usually, each program also has an entrance exam. Some don't, but you definitely need to check that too. So for teaching, it's usually, like the CBEST. There's also sometimes prerequisite courses that are required, so definitely check those out too, as well as the due dates of all the materials. And I know that this can be a lot. So I know like the first time I did it as a first generation student, I was like, oh my gosh, how do I even begin this journey, right? So we're here for you. Don't feel like you have to, go through it all by yourself. You do have support. You can come visit us. And then researching the program, right? A lot of the faculty sometimes are listed for the program, so you can actually see the areas that they're researching and whether it aligns with your vision and your goals. There are also enrollment options, right? So I know, sometimes people a lot of the times will do the full-time, but there's also part-time options. There's sometimes, you could also consider the format, whether that be hybrid, in person, or both. And then again, cost and resources. There's a lot of like money out there for college, so definitely looking into those too. Okay. Any questions about graduate school? You can also put it in the chat. Okay, so how common is it for schools to require a GRE? Yeah, so that's a good question. It usually depends on the school. I know when I applied, one of the schools, the one in San Francisco, it required it and it was the only school. But the rest of the counseling programs that I applied to, they didn't require it. So, I mean, some of them could require it while others sometimes are also waiving it just due to the pandemic. So I would actually like look at the school and actually check with their graduate school or graduate studies department just to see if the requirements are changed. It's definitely, a long test. So if you don't have to take it, I don't think that you should take it in that case, but definitely check with the program to see what they require. Yeah, good question. Other questions? Let me see. Yeah, you're welcome. Does the Sac State Psych Department require the GRE? I can't remember off the top of my head. I can look into their website real quick and let you know. But you could just search like Sac State Master's Program Psych Department and just kind of check on there. I think from the last time that I saw it, and Fernanda, you might know this too, being in the psych department. I think they did have it as a requirement.
I think they did too.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely check with them just to see. And it should be listed on their website. But again, I would say check with like, the graduate school program just to see if they've waived it. Just because I know with the pandemic, things kept changing. Yeah, good question. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do some goal setting. So I know we discussed a ton of tools today, did some activities, but what's one tool that we discussed today that you would like to use? So go ahead and think of that and then maybe jot it down. Okay. Awesome. And then I'm just going to walk you through our Career Center website. So if you're ever like, wanting to schedule an appointment with us, whether you need like your resume looked at, your cover letter, or you're like, I don't know what my next step should be, right? You could definitely schedule an appointment. There are instructions on our website right here. So if you scroll down, you'll see instructions, and then you could just schedule an appointment with me or any of our members of the staff, and we'd be happy to help you. We also have virtual drop-ins available too, as well as some in person. So if you click on drop-ins available now, you can click on that button. It'll give you kind of the hours from Monday through Friday that we're open. Usually they're 2-hour increments each day that you're able to drop in for the drop-in visits. And then they'll usually just put you in a queue, and then whoever's available from our staff is able to send you a Zoom link, and then you just join it. And those would be more for like the 15-minute drop-ins. So it's really quick questions, right? Whether like you've pretty much done all your drafts for your resume and you just want a quick look at it, or maybe you're like, what was that resource for job search? Can you help me navigate it? But if it's something like, talking through graduate school, the different options, major or career exploration, I do advise doing a appointment, just because then you'll have like that 45 minutes with the counselor instead of the 15. So yeah. Okay. Oh, awesome. And then some of you left comments about what tools you want to use, such as what can I do with this major, Focus 2, California Career Zone. Awesome. Okay, great. So that's the presentation for today. I'm going to stop sharing and just see if you all have any like questions or anything that's coming up for you.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
If we know of, let's just say, like 2 specific schools that were interested in graduate programs, but we're not really sure how to navigate the school's website, is that in the Career Center? Like, can you sit with someone and basically go through the specific program, like their website?
Yeah, so we can definitely help you navigate the website and kind of figure out what the requirements are and that sort of a thing. As well as kind of connect you, with the next person that you would want to talk to. So we can look at the website with you and kind of help you figure out, like, who's the graduate school coordinator over there? Who should you be talking to? Or like figuring out, like the requirements. We also have like an organizational chart that will kind of help you figure out next steps and then help you create like a plan for yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Other questions? Okay. And then I think Soraya said that the mic isn't working, so just stay for a quick picture. Okay, gotcha. Anybody else? Any questions? Oh, are we taking it right now? Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
So I'm a first year, and I'm like 90% set on psychology, but about when should I start worrying about like a grad program? Because that's kind of like the direction I'm going for. It's more like mental health business, I guess. So I don't know when I should start to look into grad school or grad programs.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think if you're in your first year, have you had any internships or like jobs on campus or anything like that? Okay. So I'd say that would be like the first step, just trying to figure out, if you could get involved somehow. And the reason I say that is because oftentimes when we, start our opportunities, whether it be an internship or getting more involved with, like, say, prospects peer mentoring or something like that, that's when you really begin to find out what your interests lie in, right? Just because, you know, some people, they will go into like mental health, right? Counseling. Other people really want to go into social work, and they have similar aspects. Same with, like, you know, career counseling or mental health counseling. So I think when you start exploring, that's when you'll find out what kind of graduate school opportunities are available, as well as like what path to pursue. With that being said, it never hurts to just begin to do a little search early on, right? So you can always just kind of be like, okay, I wonder what master's programs are out there. Let me just do a quick search. So I think it's awesome that you're already thinking about this, because a lot of people don't even start thinking about it until like year 3 or 4.
I get anxious.
Yeah, but we're still happy to meet with you and just talk you through some of like next steps in terms of like how to get more involved on campus and kind of be gearing your resume already towards that path, so that when it comes time for grad school, you're already ready to go.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? And thank you all for being such an interactive group, especially through Zoom. This has just been wonderful. Okay, and it's okay if you can't think of them right now. You can always, I'll put my email in the chat for you too. And you can always schedule an appointment using that link as well. But if there's something that comes up.
And then I'll also have our secretary send out an email with the PowerPoint attached to it as well.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, I think we had another question. Soraya, can you explain that a little bit further? Are you talking about like graduate school, whether you should go to a psychology advisor for that or the Career Center? So if it's for graduate school, you could definitely talk to the department that you're thinking of applying to. Say it's like the psychology department here, and you have specific questions that are like, you know, is the GRE required? If you're having like application questions specifically for the program, you can definitely ask the department. And that's what I would kind of recommend. If you are just like, you know, what are my options? You know, this is the path that I'm thinking of going down. You know, should I apply to these schools? Like things like that, where it's just like, you know, more major and career exploration type things, you could definitely contact the Career Center. So I hope that helps. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Awesome. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you have further questions, feel free to just email, okay? Or schedule
Thank
an
you so
appointment.
much.
You're welcome. Bye,
Bye. Have a
everyone.
good day.